So if you're starting a new YouTube channel, or if you're kind of a small creator like I am, and you're trying to figure out how you can stay afloat without burning out, this video right now is for you. I want to share with you my tips and tricks of how I'm surviving and not burning out, doing YouTube, and as well working a 9 to 5. And I do believe at least one of those tips will make you feel better. If this is our first time meeting, I want to say hello. My name is Lars-Erik. I am a Norwegian storyteller. I've worked a lot of years now in mental health as a content creator, and I've traveled around, spoken to a lot of different people about psychology and life, and now I'm craving out my corner on the internet and starting YouTube fresh and sharing that process with you guys. As I go about my own YouTube journey, my approach to it is kind of putting aside pretending to be a pro, just being open and honest with myself that this is all new to me. There's a lot of technical stuff that comes into it, and also it's the way of just approaching the camera and sitting alone and talking. All of this is new, so just having a newbie point of view really helps. One of the best places I think we can be as creators is in the newbie corner. Then the pressure, if you just is honest about yourself, then the pressure, you can put that aside because you are new. So every mistake you make, it's just part of the process of being new and starting to create and becoming better at it. So my point of view is just not pretending to be a pro and learning as I go, and sharing that in my videos as well. Because here's the truth, wanting to do something, but then also having the energy to do it are two different things, because life will throw 100 valid reasons at us for not doing something. So instead of just lying in bed and waiting for like that perfect condition so you don't feel the friction, just start small and build ways to show up on the imperfect days and put aside the pressure of being the best. The second approach to it, I would say, is to find a way to fall in love with the process. I think this is one of the most important things to do whatever you start in life, is to find aspects of it that you really enjoy and try to use those as fuel to fall in love with the process as you go. Because even though it feels hard, it is really important to find aspects that you love and be honest about yourself when you feel friction, when you feel some kind of pushback, that those pushbacks, that friction is a healthy and necessary part of the process. So every time I feel kind of, it's hard today, or something happens with the camera, or the focus is out, or I have to do another take, the script isn't working, like everything that feels kind of, that creates some kind of challenge, I always stop and then I say to myself that it's part of the process, it's part of learning, it's part of creating anything. You will always feel friction, and also friction is a healthy part of life as well. And doing stuff while you're creating a YouTube channel, you will meet some challenges. Just be honest that this is part of creating a YouTube channel, and also try to say to yourself, this is also good if you want to live a long, healthy life. And also with that, one way to make the process fun is to kind of create small rituals or habits that you do to kind of create some happy hormones. So for me, for example, every time I'm about to film, I have a ritual where I go outside, I enjoy the sun, get a cup of coffee, and I sit in a park or a bench or somewhere a little bit outside of where I live. And I just read for 20 minutes or something in one of my favorite books. Try not to be on the phone. I use AirPods to just cancel out noise, to just be in my own little world. And I do that for 20 minutes, and then I come home and I put on some music that I love, and I do some shitty takes just to get the brain going and just to get the talk going. And that makes the process a lot more fun instead of creating it as a way of, I have to do this. Just put aside that and make some small habits that creates a feeling of fun. And for me, it's this ritual, and then I come home, put on music, and then I dance a little bit, and then just having fun with myself, because this makes it fun to create. Another tip for you is identity-based habits. And this one is a little bit tricky for me as well, but there is actual science behind this. And I won't go into too much detail about it. You can also read about this science if you look up James Clear. He's written about it in Atomic Habits. Because studies in psychology have found that when people go from saying, I want to run to I am a runner, they're far more likely to stick to that habit than those who don't. And this is an idea in behavioral science. And one way to do this is to, for example, if someone asks you what you do, you could say, I'm a YouTuber who works 9 to 5, if you're comfortable with that. If not, you can find a lot of different ways to do it. For me, for example, when I wake up in the morning and I go to the toilet, or to the bathroom. On my bathroom wall, I have a sticky note where it says, you are a YouTuber. And then I remind myself of that. I am a YouTuber, just to get in the headspace of, well, I am a YouTuber. I create videos. I don't have to believe it in the beginning. I just have to create a habit of saying it out loud, because then I know that every time I meet some friction, I have to remember that, well, I'm a YouTuber. This is a natural part of me just being a YouTuber. So I would say one practical step to do this would be to just put that out there everywhere you feel comfortable, to have this constant reminder of, well, you are a YouTuber. This is your identity. And to jump into this space of becoming one. So I put it on sticky note on my wall, I put it on my phone, you can have it in your bio on social media, and you can tell people if you're comfortable with that. Another tip is to build a system and build support system. So at this point, I filmed and scripted a good amount of videos. I write, I film, I create my thumbnails, I do the analytics and everything, except the editing. So the editing I'll actually outsource to a really cool guy in Vietnam, and I have created a really good relationship with him. So we talk a lot, and he's kind of on this journey with me. So I really feel lucky with that. Outsourcing my editing to someone has really I've freed up a lot of time for me to do the things I enjoy the most in this process. If you have the money to outsource, I would really recommend you to do that, because it frees up so much time that I could instead use scripting. I could use researching topics, create good hooks, because my goal is to create kind of a little small team that creates with me. By doing this outsourcing to another person, I create kind of a system of something or someone to keep me accountable. That makes it much more likely for me to show up. And eventually, if I'm able to monetize YouTube, I would also outsource a little bit more and create like a little team for people to do this with. And if you don't have the ability to outsource your editor, I would recommend you to start small with editing. Don't do too much in the beginning, just to get yourself going and to create a habit of creating and have some momentum. Do it small, and also find a friend or someone, maybe someone on the internet, to keep you accountable. If you are creating a habit of posting videos every week, every 10 days, find someone that can keep you accountable for that. I would recommend. Tip number 6, momentum over perfection. I think about this a lot now in the beginning, because I really want to create videos that I'm proud of, but also I want to create video that I post. So for me now, it's all about just building a system and having momentum, and not try to perfectionate everything now, especially in the beginning, and just try to have the mindset of I'm learning and I'm just becoming a little bit better every time. So some anchors for me that I use is kind of this rule that is the minimum rule, where I kind of take one idea, I like this idea, and then I just sit down and I write something, and then I film, I take one take and one edit session, and then I hit publish, and I kind of try to do it so the bumps aren't too high, to not create too much friction, so I can have more momentum. Because having more momentum, when you get friction, it's easier to overcome if you have a kind of a pace going. So momentum beats perfection, at least it does for me. And also kind of look at my energy as something to budget as I will with my money. So I stop pretending that I have the energy to do everything I want after a 9 to 5. So I scatter it out throughout the week. So for example, one day I just use for ideas and hooks, and another day I will film and I will create the thumbnails. Don't do too much at once. And even though I feel energetic, sometimes I will stop, because then I will stop on a high note and it will have an impact for the next day. Remember, I was in such a mood, I want to go back to that. And so it creates kind of more of a momentum for me, at least. So I will give away now a simple weekly system that you can use if you want that. So for example, on Saturdays, I would use for brainstorming and research, and then come up with like 5 or 10 titles. And I would then use Sundays for thumbnail idea, and I would create a hook, and I would kind of see if I could create the first minute. And sometimes if I'm really in the zone, I will start creating the script, but I will stop mid-sentence, because it's easier, at least for me, to continue that on Monday, which I use for finishing the script and creating bullet points if I'm not doing a full-on script. And also, I always look at the title and thumbnail and hook before I start creating the script, so I know how it will look when I post it, instead of going back to the thumbnail after the script. It makes it a lot more easier for me to create the script, because I know where I'm going. And on Tuesdays, I do film, and I also then I outsource to my editor, and we go a little bit back and forth. Maybe sometimes he tells me that he needs some B-rolls. Just having that dialogue with someone and creating that kind of relationship, it really helps me have momentum in this process. Wednesdays, I will create and finish the thumbnail and title, but I will have the title finished. But if I want to do some finishing endings on it, I will do that on Wednesday. And on Thursday, I do the uploading, and because that can take a lot of time sometimes. And then I also do some analytics and the YouTube technical. I'm not too sure about that yet, but I try to use some time on Thursdays. And on Fridays, I post, but I step away from the one that I posted and try not to look too much about it, because it won't help. And then there is Saturday. I start brainstorming again, and I have this momentum. And now it's a lot easier to do this because the system is there. This is not the best setup. It's not the best technical professional system, but this is what I have, and this is what I'm using. It's all about just creating the momentum and falling in love with the process, and know for myself that I want to go back to it. And so before I hit publish, I try to just stay true to who I am. If I stumble on words, that is okay. That is me. I'm Norwegian. English is not my first language. Also, I try to think that I'm just talking to one person, and hopefully that will create some kind of a better feeling for me. You will have friction in everything, also when you're creating YouTube, also when you're creating anything. So friction is a sign of life. Ship small and often. So not trying to perfectionate my videos at this point. I will become better every time I do this, and then it will be easier for me to level up the video production. And also, so if you are a creator and you watch this far, I would love to get to know you, and then I'll see you.